Which cryptocurrency is being attacked by the SEC after XRP? How long will crypto holders believe in Ripple? How much will XRP cost in mid-2020? 3. We will answer all these questions in today's video. Ripple Chief Legal Officer Stuart Alderoty has responded to Coinbase receiving a Wells notice from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC. A Wells notice is a letter issued by the SEC expressing the agency's view that a corporation or person has violated securities laws. Significantly, it permits the receiver to react to these assertions in order to persuade the market regulator that they are false, with the SEC having 6 months to determine whether or not to pursue an enforcement action. Coinbase verified receipt of this letter from the SEC yesterday, but according to a blog post written by Coinbase's chief legal officer Paul Grewal, the letter provided insufficient information for Coinbase to reply to. Coinbase emphasizes that the possibility of enforcement action comes despite the fact that the SEC cleared its operation and permitted it to become a publicly listed company in April 2021, only days before SEC Chair Gary Gensler took office based on these same disclosures. Moreover, the company said that it had met with SEC authorities 30 times in the previous 9 months in order to register a component of its business and settle inquiries. Nevertheless, the SEC, which first proposed this strategy, terminated the process in January after Coinbase claimed to have spent millions of dollars in legal expenses to identify viable registration models, since none exist for cryptocurrency under the current system. According to recent reports, the cryptocurrency exchange seems to have been preparing for a clash with the regulator in recent months. As previously reported, the crypto exchange updated its risk notice to state that it may elect not to remove a listed crypto asset, even if the SEC labels it a security, barring a court judgment in favor of the regulator. In a tweet today, Alderoty seems to back the top cryptocurrency exchange, citing the old saying, "The enemy of my enemy is my friend." Moments afterwards, the Ripple Clo retweeted Grewal's answer to the SEC's Wells notice. Ripple is still embroiled in a legal battle with the market authority over whether XRP is an unregistered securities offering. Coinbase filed an amicus brief in favor of the blockchain payments company's lawsuit, which it framed as an assault on the whole young sector. According to Consensys lawyer Bill Hughes, we should expect a flood of amicus papers in favor of Coinbase if the SEC decides to pursue an enforcement action. Based on Alderoty's comments and other precedents, it would not be strange to find Ripple among Coinbase backers. Nevertheless, Hughes believes that if the SEC pursues enforcement, the prospective court fight would go for years, well beyond Gensler's rule. According to the attorney, this will most likely arise from factual disagreements, allowing it to go to appeal. In a subsequent tweet, the attorney said that supporters of a free market system would be disgusted by the SEC's actions. The future of the nascent market in the United States remains unknown. After the failures of Terra and Fox, authorities, notably the SEC, seem to have initiated an industry-wide crackdown. Market players, on the other hand, continue to ask for unambiguous market advice. Vocal crypto supporter John E. Deaton has hinted at what may happen if the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission succeeds in its case against Ripple, the company that created XRP. Will Ripple be able to beat the SEC? The 2-year legal struggle between Ripple and XRP has been marked by significant procedural triumphs for Ripple, leading XRP fans to hope that Ripple would ultimately prevail. Annalisa Torres, the judge presiding over the case, may cause problems for many crypto-focused businesses if she agrees with the SEC's argument that all XRP transactions, including those on secondary markets, are securities. John Deaton claims that this is the case. According to Deaton, if the SEC wins, Chairman Gary Gensler will have the political support and momentum to file similar claims against other corporations in the digital asset area. In a tweet, Fox Business writer Eleanor Terrett offered some observations on the recent closure of Signature Bank, prompting the XRP attorney to respond. Significantly, the New York Department of Financial Services announced the closure of Signature on a Sunday with no explanation. According to Tarrant, ex-Congressman Barney Frank's shrewd comments suggest that this was all part of a plan to convey a message against cryptography. One of the leading companies in the cryptocurrency sector, Ripple, has developed useful applications for blockchain technology. SEC's bombshell lawsuit against Ripple and two of its senior executives for illegally generating over $1.03 billion via the sale and distribution of execution of XRP cryptocurrency in December 2020 devastated the nascent industry. The token's future hinges on the outcome of the litigation, which centers on the issue of whether or not XRP is a security. Crypto experts generally feel that Ripple is now ahead in the drawn-out legal fight. When the court declined to invalidate Ripple's primary fair notice argument last month, the SEC also suffered a loss. The judge's ruling, which is anticipated in June, will likely be a watershed moment for XRP and the cryptocurrency sector as a whole. Nonetheless, if Ripple is successful, XRP may challenge $1. One of the biggest headlines in the XRP community would be a relisting of the XRP token on the main U.S. crypto exchange Coinbase if Ripple prevails in its legal fight against the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. CEO Paul Grewal, Coinbase's chief legal officer, CLO, has discussed the situation in depth and outlined the steps that would be taken to relist XRP. Trading of XRP was halted by Coinbase in January 2021, soon after the SEC filed its action, and has remained suspended to this day despite calls from the XRP community. While Grewal was optimistic about a Ripple triumph in yesterday's discussion with Thinking Crypto presenter Tony Edward, he made it clear that the subject of a relisting is not dependent entirely on whether or not Ripple wins in court. Grewal said that the U.S. cryptocurrency exchange continuously assesses assets to determine if they should be listed, delisted, delisted, or temporarily halted. He also has some comprehension of the XRP community's anguish. I realize it has been difficult for many XRP investors to be unable to trade their assets on Coinbase while this SEC lawsuit has been ongoing, said Grewal, adding that the SEC has not prevented Coinbase from closely monitoring the progress of the action. Grewal, like everyone else, is waiting impatiently for a judgment and has nothing but praise for Ripple's legal team. The defendants in this case have done a fantastic job pushing the SEC and raising major concerns about the SEC's overall approach, which is something I took note of. Some of Ripple's arguments were strengthened by this, and Coinbase even filed an amicus brief in their favor. Ripple CLO Stuart Alderety and the rest of the fintech company's team have done an amazing job. In Grewal's opinion, therefore, he has little doubt that Ripple will prevail in court. There will be a lot of problems shown with the SEC's theory. The trial judge's opinions on the arguments and briefs in this case should become clear very soon. The Coinbase CLO did note, however, that in his judgment, the ruling of the Southern District Court of New York is only the beginning of a rather prolonged process. In Grewal's opinion, it's quite probable that whichever party loses in court will appeal, and that the case will go through several rounds of appeals. Grewal stated that the trial court's judgment and the judge's legal rationale will determine how long it will take for Coinbase to relist the tokens, as well as whether or not the verdict would be upheld on appeal. So, much will be contingent upon the specifics of that court's ruling. Although Grewal acknowledges that this answer may disappoint some, he argues that the firm owes obligation to its shareholders to tread cautiously. In this area, and with regard to any token that is the subject of litigation in federal court. Finally, the Coinbase CLO promised that the exchange will begin conducting a review as soon as the decision became available. As much as everybody else, I cannot wait to hear the court's verdict and to share that as soon as we receive it, we will begin our process to determine whether or not we need to reconsider our listing decision.